This is useful for you guys if you when you become teachers. So this is a little bit about the California Master Plan. The actual name of the plan when it became a law is the Donahoe Higher Education Act. These are, this is the formal process by which we put into law how our system of education works in California. And in this, you'll see that they define University of California, CSU, and community college. Before this thing came in line, you had community colleges that were teaching upper division classes. You had CSUs and UCs that were doing remedial education. And so what ends up happening is there's a lot of money wasted because every school was trying to do all things. And so the way that the California system did this is they partitioned the schools to different segments. So California community colleges, through the Donahoe Act, and this is a living document, so we still try to implement this today. We had 3 goals, which were prepare students for transfer, workforce development and training, and then also remedial skills education. So if you look at the community college course load, every one of our courses is designed to do those 3 things. And because of that, we're only allowed to do lower division and technical education. The CSUs offer undergrad and then also master's degrees. So they call those PUIs, primarily undergraduate institutions. They call community college 2-year college, which I think is a stupid thing. It should be 3 to 4 years, and all of bachelor's degrees should be like a 6-year process, especially in the STEM courses, right?
Yeah.
And then the R1 institution, R1 means research 1, and you can think about those as research flagship institutions. Those are the UCs. And at the UCs, those are primarily research institutions. So those are PhD granting, master's degrees, and undergraduate. And then the funny thing about that is you can also see, if you read about this, so before I got my job at Foothill, I actually spent like a few weeks reading up on all this, so I had a sense of what was going on with the laws. I have a whole file in my thing about it. It's the UCs are basically, they do all the technical education, so like doctors, MDs, JDs, PhDs, anything with basically, right? And what's funny about this is that if you're thinking about working for, not only is that stratified in the code in terms of like what we provide, but the job requirements also follow this. So tenure is a big deal. It's a big deal in academia because it basically means you have to be really stupid to get fired. And that history goes back to the idea that you could be doing research that governments don't like. So for example, the national government actually doesn't fund research into gun violence. But you could imagine if a faculty member did that research, which they can't actually do because the national government prohibits it through the Republican Congress and the whole NRA power structure. But you can imagine like Steve Silva goes to work at UCLA and he's doing a deep study on gun violence. And a Republican president comes into power and has deep connections with the NRA and hates the fact that Steve Silva is publishing this information. So he goes to the president of UCLA and says, you need to get rid of that academic. I don't want his research out there to the public. Well, the really nice thing about tenure is that it protects, it is the moment that that president goes to act on that, the entire faculty fight behind that faculty member, and it becomes a huge flex of power. So, and it ends up that shields academics from the political whims of research funding and research and development by just giving them years of a career that they can dedicate. After they get their tenure, they can basically do whatever the hell that they want for the majority of their career without worrying about, they can't sexually assault students. They can't do stupid stuff, right? But I'm talking about like academic research. Once an academic has tenure, the idea of tenure is that it allows academics to do deep research in that space. And so getting tenure is a huge deal.